normal, normal. I'm dumb. Hello everyone, it's Thomas Jujube, and welcome to the Talking Jujube podcast, where I talk about the month's news and episodes for the different series that I watch. Today we're covering, of course, Kamen Rider Build, Lupin Ranger vs. Patren-X, the latest issue in the MMPR Boom Studios comics, and we have some small news for Transformers Bumblebee. So let's jump right into it. So there's not a lot of news pertaining to Transformers this month, but we do have some small snippets for Transformers Bumblebee. It has been confirmed that there is no Transformers 7, Transformers 6, depends how you want to look at it. I consider Transformers 6. I don't consider the Bumblebee movie as like the 6th Transformers movie or Transformers 6, or I didn't, but then a while ago we got that image that showed Hasbro had no movies for Transformers planned in 2019, so that automatically kind of confirmed there will be no Transformers 6, but then they come out and officially announce it, so now it's official. You can't argue. Transformers 6 is not happening anymore, and they said they were rebooting it. The Bumblebee movie is going to be the beginning of that reboot. So personally, I think I'm excited for this. Now they've officially said, yeah, we're rebooting, and now this Bumblebee movie, since it's going to be the reboot, now I'm more excited for this movie because now they can kind of do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to tie it to The Last Night, the first Transformers movie. They don't have to tie it to anything else. They can do whatever they want, and it'll be perfectly fine. So they build off from that. So personally, I'm very happy about this. I think that would be very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the new Transformers movies. Also pertaining to the Bumblebee movie, they've confirmed that Barricade is appearing in it. So we're finally getting the return of the long-awaited Bumblebee versus Barricade fight. Barricade is actually getting put into the spotlight a lot more. I think he's the only... No, Blackout was original. I think he's one of those original characters from the first Transformers movie. He hasn't appeared really in anything else other than the movies. This is going to be his, I think... What appearance? This is going to be his 4th appearance in the movies. That's pretty cool. I think it's the most appearances from a Decepticon, because I'm sure Megatron won't be in this movie. So Barricade officially has the most appearances of the Decepticons in the movies. So that's pretty cool. And then, speaking of Barricade coming into the spotlight, like I said just a couple seconds ago, they've released new images of the evergreen designs for Transformers. So if you don't know what the evergreen designs are, basically it's kind of like vanilla, like G1-esque designs, and that's what Transformers Cyberverse is doing. So I think they always had these designs, but now they were like, hey, let's make the show out of these designs so that we kind of have everything under this big, general design, because they got rid of RID, they're bringing in Cyberverse. So this might be like a mainline continuity for Transformers, maybe for like a couple years, because normally, we do different seasons, different continuities. This might be like a mainline continuity that we deal with for like maybe a decade or something like that, if it does well. If not, they'll probably reboot it again. But anyway, the evergreen designs are the Cyberverse designs because they look very similar, and I think there's somewhere they've confirmed it. I haven't found it, but I think it is confirmed. These are basically Cyberverse designs. So you can see we have like Optimus Prime, Bumblebee. You can't have Optimus Prime. Can't not have Optimus Prime, Bumblebee. My bad. We also have Megatron and Starscream. We have Shockwave. We have Grimlock. We have Windblade, which is cool. And then we have Barricade, and Barricade's like the Windblade, I think, of Transformers now. Like, Windblade was a fan-made character, and she's been rising in her popularity. Barricade wasn't a fan-made character, but he's also been rising in popularity, because you can see this design here is based off The Last Night. Like, you can't argue that. It looks like The Last Night's design. But all of these designs look really good. They're like great reimaginings of the G1 designs, updated. With like kind of a modern look to them, but you can still look at that and say, hey, that's Shockwave, hey, that's Wheeljack. There's a Wheeljack in here too. Like, these designs all look pretty cool. So it's not a lot of significant news for, well, no, I'd say the reboot news for Bumblebee is pretty significant, but other than that, it's not too much news for Transformers, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. build this month was definitely very busy. We had a lot going on, but let's be honest, you probably like this month, and I really loved this month. So we start off right after the cliffhanger from last month, where Evil just debuted. He just showed off his powers, and he just killed Gentoku's father, the Prime Minister of Todo. And then this is actually the first time that like Bill, Cross, and Grease see Evil, and they like run out and they're like, uh-oh, he has the Evil driver. We all failed because Misora couldn't resist going up to Soichi. But anyway, or Evil, he's not Soichi anymore. Anyway, so then they fight him, you know, we have a short fight. Evil shows off his powers to them. You know, he says he's like, oh, I'm at 1% power. No, you're not. I don't think you are. He might be. They don't really talk about that for the rest of the month, so he might. I don't know. So then he poisons Sento and then says the only way you can cure Sento is bring me Pandora's box. Yeah, he says bring me Pandora's box and all your full bottles. And then they come up with, or basically I think then like 3 days later, they realize, okay, we don't have any other choice. We'll go to you, Evil. So Ryuga and Grease show up, and they hand over the full bottles, or they're like about to, and they tell him, oh, that building over there, that's where Pandora's box is. And he's like, oh, okay, thank you. I won't cure Sento. What? he just stabs him in the back. He's like, yeah, I'm not curing Sento, sorry. And they're like, why? And then he says, oh, now you have to fight me. So, I mean, come on. Evil wasn't gonna revive Sento that easily. He's the most, no, I don't know. I don't know if I was about to say Sento's the most powerful of the riders, but I think that, no, not Grease. I want to say Cross Magma maybe is more powerful than Rabbit. If not, it's on par. But anyway, we got a fight between Grease and Cross, or Ryuga. They're all fighting Evil to cure Sento. Evil knocks out Grease, and he knocks out Ryuga, and we finally get a reasoning why people don't transform back into the riders after they've been knocked out of the transformation. Grease says, no, you can't go into the transformation again, or else you'll be like injured, or I don't know, you'll be hurt, something like that. But I was like, finally, we have an explanation for the, I mean, I didn't care. I mean, I just accepted, okay, they're knocked out, they can't transform. They had a reason to exit, I guess. But now I'm kind of like, great, we have an explanation in this universe at the very least. And I guess you could say the same for all the universes, and Power Rangers 2, and Sentai. So, I mean, I'm being weird, I'm nerding out over that. But I mean, that was a little small line that I thought was kind of funny. But then, Ryuga, obviously, he doesn't care. He says, like, Sento did so much for me, I need to help get him back. So he transforms back into Cross Magma, and we get some awesome shots with Cross. You know, I've said many times before that I love the Cross Z Magma suit. So it was really cool seeing, like, the darkness. It's like black, it's night, and the orange, they just like make it glow, and it's like launching flames and lava off while he's fighting Evil. It looks so cool. And the Evil suit actually doesn't look bad either. It looks really cool. So, I mean, battle between two really awesome suits. What more could you ask for? But then Evil explains to Ryuga that Ryuga, we've said before, Ryuga's an alien. Everyone accepted that. We had a flashback. It's revealed, though, that Ryuga's alienness of him is actually Evil. So Ryuga's alien. Ryuga is like part alien. That alien half of him is Evil. I mean, you've seen all these episodes, so I'll just kind of, they give us a great timeline in this month. Basically, we know, like, centuries ago, we have Evil, who's not from Mars. He's some other kind of creature, alien, whatever. Evil comes to Mars and creates Pandora's tower in his black hole form. You can tell he's in his black hole form when he's fighting Vernage. Vernage and Evil have a battle over Pandora's tower to save Mars. But we know Evil wins and Vernage loses. But in that, you know, in an attempt to stop Evil, I mean, we know she loses because Mars is a desolate wasteland. But she does get some kind of victory in that she splits Evil's soul and Evil's body, I believe. And Evil transfers his soul into the Pandora's box. And then his body's, I guess, just, like, left there or something. And then Vernage, I guess, is, like, transferred into the bangle, the bracelet. They didn't really explain that. But, at the very least, Evil kind of wins. but Vernage gets some victory on it in that she cripples him. So now Evolt's energy is left in Pandora's box, and his body's just kind of like, I don't know, without a soul or without energy. They say soul and energy kind of like interchangeably in that scene. But then I think, I don't know, like I assume that was centuries ago because, like, you know, people have said like, oh, there's civilizations on Mars centuries ago. So let's just assume it was centuries ago. Then we know 23 years ago, according to what they said, they landed an unmanned rover on Mars. Evolt sees this and sees it as an opportunity to destroy another planet. I don't know, we don't know specifically why he wants to destroy planets. I hope they'll explain that other than, oh, he's evil, he wants to destroy planets. Maybe he, like, I don't know, maybe he just does that for fun, you don't know. So then he sees the unmanned rover and sees that, okay, there's another life, there's, you know, more life forms around here, so let me just split. He basically splits himself and sends that half of him onto the rover in hopes that it will return to Earth, and then he can attach his other half to somebody, and then he can control that person as his vessel and take over that planet, Earth, much easier. However, also, I just want to point this out, he got kind of lucky that the rover was actually coming back to Earth, because if you don't know this, when they send rovers or spaceships, they usually send it without in mind, like, okay, we're gonna go and get this in 20 years. No, it's supposed to, like, do what it's doing indefinitely or until it shuts down. So he got kind of lucky they were gonna take that rover back. But anyway, the rover gets back to Earth, and as we know, the rover then possesses, well, what Evolt was hoping it would do is possess Ryuga's mother, and then he would use her as his vessel to control, or to start controlling, taking over Earth. However, because she was like 1 month pregnant, the alien, instead of attaching itself to the mom, attached itself to the baby, and then when the baby was born, the baby had no memories of being Evolt, so he essentially just split himself in half for nothing. So Evolt's like, oh, well, there goes my brilliant plan. But then when they launched the manned spaceship to Mars, and Soichi picks up Pandora's box, Evolt's like, oh, great, here's my opportunity. He possesses Soichi, and now Soichi is Evolt from that moment on. So we've never, I don't think, seen the actual Soichi. When Evolt repossesses Ryuga and he becomes whole again, after he beats Ryuga, you know what happens. So Evolt beats Ryuga and he becomes whole again with Ryuga and attains her dragon or Evolt dragon form. And then we also see that Soichi's off to the side, but he's still in a coma, and I assume maybe Evolt will like come back to that body for no reason. But Soichi can't really contribute anything because he was Soichi, and Evolt's been pulling the strings this whole time. So, you know, anyway, then he controls, so basically flashing back, Soichi is controlled by Evolt, and they land on Earth again. And it's just kind of like quickly said that basically using Soichi's memories, I think, Evolt created the 60 full bottles. He used his memories to just create energies or something. It's not really explained, but I have an idea that I'll get to in a second. So basically, we see like a shot of like the inside of Pandora's box with all the bottles inside. But what Vernage did, when Misora comes into that room, then Vernage sees this as an opportunity to stop the creation of Pandora's tower and destroying another planet. She possesses Misora with the bangle, and then takes away all the essence out of the box. She makes them all blank full bottles. She takes away all of the essences, and then Misora passes out because of, well, Vernage passes out, but since she's in Misora's body, Misora effectively passes out as well. So then, when the Pandora's box is like shown on display, and Evolt / Soichi, it's Evolt, he comes up and he touches it. What he was intending to do was create Pandora's tower. That's what he did on Mars, I assume. He was trying to do it again here. But because Vernage extracted all the essences, so basically there were just a bunch of empty full bottles inside, it didn't work how he intended, and ended up creating this sky wall and splitting Pandora's box. Well, it didn't. Pandora's box hasn't been split, but launching the panels from Pandora's box, meaning he had a lot more work to do than he hoped for. So then, that's great. I love how we get all this backstory on Pandora's Box, Mars, Vernage, Evil. That's really, really cool, and I'm really glad they gave it to us in these course of episodes. So also, this really explains why Misora has been able to create full bottles, because they'll defeat a Smash and they get its essence, and Misora purifies it, but like I think really she's like putting back in the essence she stole, right? Because also later we reveal when Ryuga can't transform because Evil took his DNA back, which first of all, that sentence honestly was stupid. That you can't take someone's DNA back. Like, that DNA is part of them, which I guess could explain why Ryuga could still transform. But anyway, Evil is revealed that he can basically, he's the one who gives people the ability to transform into Smash or Kamen Riders. He basically gives them that like kind of DNA they need to be able to transform. So it can be assumed he's kind of the reason Smash are made. So since Evil created the 60 full bottles, I can assume he couldn't do it anymore. But like, he probably couldn't do it again, all 60, but he could probably put it into Smash in that like unpurified form, and then Misora / Vernage puts back in the essence, or as they call it, purifying it. That's how I interpreted it. That's also probably maybe how the Sato and Hokuto regions could create their own full bottles. Since we know Evil was working with them as Bloodstock, he probably did another version of what Misora does, since he could create a Smash maybe and then purify the Smash as well, but he couldn't reveal that to Sento and Ryuga and all of them because, you know, he was undercover as Soichi. So that's how I interpreted it. I guess that answers how the Smash are made and all that stuff, but maybe it'll give another explanation in the show. That's just kind of how I interpreted it as. So anyway, we cut back to what I was talking about a while ago, where Evil beats up Ryuga, and he merges with Ryuga, he merges with Ryuga, because Ryuga is part of him, so he regains kind of his full body in Evil Dragon. So then, he reveals to Sento as well that, oh yeah, Ryuga was part of me, and now I'm part of him. And he actually cures Sento too. So at first, you know, you may be wondering like, oh, why did he cure Sento? He kept his word? Like, wow. And then it's revealed in, I think, no, it's not that same episode. In the next episode, now we're on episode 35. In episode 36, we know that Evil possesses Sento, casts out Ryuga to create Evil Rabbit. But in episode 35, we basically just see Evil take the Pandora's box and take the Pandora's panels and the full bottles, and he basically kind of just goes into Pandora's tower, and he's going to be creating he's going to be assembling all the panels, all the full bottles, and creating Pandora's box, which is cool. And while he's doing that, it's creating more and more of Pandora's tower, which is what he's intended to do originally. Now he's able to finally do it with all the full bottles, all this power. And they kind of say like, oh, we need Phoenix. He was missing the Phoenix full bottle because that's one Gentaku had, which is kind of funny. This just kind of random full bottle that he had that he used occasionally is the one important full bottle. And because Gentaku's kind of like in a funk because he lost his dad, he doesn't really know what to do or what to fight for, because he was originally fighting to unite the country and just give it to his dad because he knew, oh, this man can lead the country. But now he's dead, he's like, what do I do now? And then, you know, later he resolves, I'll fight it and give it to whoever is worthy to lead the country. So he's going to unite the country and give it to whoever he thinks is going to unite, or who can lead it. Maybe he'll just, you know, he'll lead it himself, but since he's kind of in the right state of mind now. But anyway, we know he's not going to be a mad rogue. So then, what happens is that, like, the rest of that episode is really just all-out warfare, which I'm perfectly fine with. I love all these suits. All these suits fighting was really, really cool. But the way he kind of casts, Evil kind of knocks away Rogue and Grease was just kind of weird. And Build uses hazard forms, which, I love the hazard form, so I don't really care. But it kind of made no sense when it's like, excuse me, sir, you have Rabbit and Tank that you can control. They have the power of hazard that you can control, but you can't control the power of hazard in these forms. It could be because he's like trying to mix it up, because he was using he used Key Dragon hazard that he never used before. So it's maybe that sense like, oh look, I'm using a form you haven't seen before, you can't beat me in the form. And then Evol's like, yeah, I can. And he pulls out the same weapon as him, and we get dual beat crossers, which is really cool. Anyway, then I mean, Evil kind of pulls a cheat move and he pretends he's Ryuga, but he's like, haha, that was a good impression, huh? And he assembles Pandora's box. And that episode ends basically with the fully completed Pandora's Tower, and you're like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? And it seems like a final battle, but I mean, we know it's not. There's probably at least 10 more episodes, at least 10 more from where we're at in the series. So it's interesting how all these episodes kind of keep showing like, oh look, the final battle, look, the final battle. But we know there's at least probably 10 more episodes, at least 5. I'm pretty sure there's 10 more at the very least. So anyway, that episode ends with Pandora's Tower made, Pandora's box assembled. And it looks like, I don't know, something bad's about to happen in the next episode. But then Evil absorbs the power of Pandora's box and he didn't absorb it, he kind of like reaches in and he pulls out the Evil trigger in this like kind of broken state. So then you're like, oh no, he's gonna assume his final form. Nothing happens when he clicks the button. It's kind of sad. It's like, ooh, you should get some new batteries in that thing. Anyway, Vernage appears and just kind of teleports everyone, she teleports the full bottles, Pandora's box, and Sento back to the home. And then she also reveals, you know, what I just said earlier with the essence and the fighting and all that. She restores all the essences back into Pandora's box, which just kind of seems a little cheating. Like, oh, there are all the toys, so we can sell them. Yeah. Now I have all the full bottles though, and it seems kind of pointless now to have all the full bottles now because Sento has Rabbit, Hazard, Tank. He doesn't, and he's getting something else soon. So he doesn't really need all these full bottles anymore. But most of the episode is the backstory that a lot of the episode is the backstory that I already explained. But then we get Kazumine versus Gentoku, which kind of seems like pointless, really. The only point of it, at first I was like, oh great, this guy can't get over his anger at Gentoku because he killed his friends. Just kind of leave it to the side, bro, and just work it out with him. But he actually fights him and beats him and reveals, okay, now you have to help us because I beat you. And I was like, oh, okay, he actually had a purpose of fighting him other than just being angry. Oh, I have to beat you. So that was cool to see. So other than that, nothing really happened from that scene. And then Sento reveals, like, he kind of reconfigures a Pandora panel into this box that he can put in the build driver. So then he goes to fight Evil, who's just like, with the Sato forces, they're just full-blown like attacking Todo. So he shows up, he takes this box of sorts, or this, yeah, it's a box. He sticks it in the driver, and I was like, oh, it's not gonna work because it's not set up to be a toy. But then he actually turns the handle and it's revealed that he raised his hazard level to hazard level 6, which is the hazard level that, you know, humans should be able to attain. I assume the highest is 5 because Ryuga reached 5 in the previous episode, so, or 2 episodes before. So Sento reaches hazard level 6, and Evil says like, oh, you can't, like, no human should be able to reach hazard level 6. And he's like, well, here I am at hazard level 6. So basically they start fighting. Sento's beating Evil, I believe, and then Evil says like, oh, well, this will kill you. And he says, yeah, that's the idea. And he starts turning the handle more and more, raising his hazard level more and more. And I think the idea was he'll blow up and take Evil with him, which, I mean, that's part of, like, that's something Sento would do. He'd kill himself, but kill the enemy and save everyone else. You'd still have the Sato forces to deal with, dude, but, I mean, one step at a time. That would have worked. But I don't remember specifically why, but I believe it just failed because of Evil, like, possessing him. I think at the last second he, like, possessed him. He came out of Ryuga's body and possessed Sento. We haven't really seen what Evil looks like on his own when he's not possessing someone. I assume he's just like maybe the green sludge that we've seen in like flashbacks because he's not Martian. That would kind of make sense. But anyway, he possesses Sento because now Sento has this max hazard. Has this like high hazard level, which she also explains earlier in, like, just a couple minutes earlier from that scene. He says the whole reason he was like set up Project Build and all that was to get Sento high enough. So basically the whole point of Ryuga was to get him high enough so that he could possess Ryuga, and the other half of him that's been missing for this whole time is strong enough to reconfigure with his normal half. And then with this full body, I assume then he wanted Sento to get stronger so he could possess his, he could have the ultimate body. And you do feel like he's a lot stronger now when he possesses Sento, because he has the godly white hair. Oh, I don't know, the white hair didn't seem necessary, honestly. The white hair was kind of weird, really. But then in that episode where, we end that episode with Evil Rabbit, and look, Sento is possessed now. So in the next episode, Ryuga tries to henshin, but he realizes he can't. And Evil reveals that it's because he took his DNA from him when he left Ryuga's body and went into Sento's body. And as I said earlier, you can't really, steal someone's DNA from them. But I'm just going to let that slide because this is a show where we have aliens and boxes that create giant walls and towers. So I think I can let a little DNA mishap, I'll let that slide. So now they're kind of just like, well, great, what do we do? Because Ryuga's kind of the strongest, right? Because he had magma. Rogue didn't really want to help. And Grease is still using quarter 2 toys. So Grease can't really win. I guess so is Rogue, but never mind. So then, in an attempt, they go to Rogue and they're Gentoku and they're trying to convince him, and they do convince him. They kind of do the normal thing that Sento used to say, love and peace, woo. But I mean, it worked. Rogue came, so we got a cool fight between Evil in his Evolt form, Rabbit form, Dragon form. No, he doesn't use Dragon. Just Evil and Evil Rabbit. And then Ryuga's trying to transform. He can't actually use the full bottles outside of his suit like he used to. So Ryuga's just kind of screwed, really. He's getting beat up. But then when he does is he steals the Evil Dragon bottle. He puts it in his dragon, or no, he steals the Evil Dragon bottle, and they haven't really explained this yet. I hope they'll explain it in the next month. But what I think happens, or no, I don't know what happens. But he takes the Evil Dragon, turns gold, he puts it in his normal Cross Dragon, turns it into the Great Cross Dragon, and transforms into Great Cross Z. Now, let's get this right out of the way. I really enjoy the look of Great Cross Z. I think it looks better than the normal Cross Z form. I love all the Crosses forms except Cross Charge. But other than Cross Charge, I like all the forms. I have to say, I like Great Cross Z. But before I was angry, because I was like, okay, so I love Cross Magma, and I love the look of Great Cross Z. But you're telling me we're replacing Cross Magma with Great Cross Z? I thought it was this kind of BS that we do, oh look, Cross Z, the strongest form. Oh no, it's Great Cross Z, the strongest form. Thankfully though, he only assumes Great Cross Z for maybe 2 minutes, and it reverts back to Magma form. So I think Great Cross Z, since it got rid of the Cross Dragon, made it the Great Cross Dragon. Great Cross Z is our new base form, and it's powerful, but Magma's more powerful. At the end of the day, Magma's our final form for Cross. Great Cross Z, I think, is the way he regained his ability to transform, because maybe using the Evil Dragon bottle, it returned the DNA into his body, or something like that. I don't know. I hope they'll explain that in more detail, because it was kind of just oh cool, he's transformed again. How is he transformed again? So then all 3 riders go to rider kick Evil. Evil's well, what do I do? Here, kick my trigger, kick the trigger, because the whole reason he possessed Sento too, because he realized Sento is so powerful, I should be able to use the hazard trigger, or the Evil trigger. It doesn't work. So in the last ditch effort, when all 3 riders are kicking him, he pulls out the trigger, and I guess it absorbs all their combined energies and creates the Evil trigger. It just creates this whirlwind of black energy. I don't know. And then you get the transformation that's actually really, really cool. And then you just see Evil Black Hole just above everyone. He looks down and is yeah, you're all screwed now. So that has the power of a black hole. We know he doesn't have the power of a black hole. They're gonna nerf him. But either way, he looks really cool. I like the black hole suit. Evil just went through all of his forms in these last 5 episodes since he debuted. He's attained his final form in a month. Come on, main riders, you gotta get on that. Attain your final form in a month. No, they won't. But anyway, then we leave on this moment of terror. Oh no, we have this is the final form that he used to destroy Mars. Now he's gonna do it to Earth. And then Sento's popped out. They didn't really explain if he's in his normal form, whatever. I think Black Hole is Evolt. Soichi is Cobra Evolt. Cross is Dragon Evolt, and Sento is Rabbit Evolt. I don't know. I guess he's different people that he'll possess give him the different forms, his normal evolt form will be Black Hole, because that's the one we see him fighting Vernagin, so that's his normal form, I guess I would say, even though it's technically his final form from worse standing. But anyway, Sento's back, or so we think. Ryuga's like, oh great, you're back, now I guess we have a fighting chance. And then Sento looks at him and is like, who's Sento? And he's like, what? He's like, I'm Katsuragi. And then the episode ends. So yeah, Katsuragi's back. We see in the preview, I guess this won't be very spoilery, we see in the preview he's kind of like questioning stuff. He's like, oh, what? So I'm gonna start talking about the magazine scans and some spoilers, maybe, so at least preview spoilers. So if you don't want that, you know, boom, get out of here. Thank you for watching. So let's get into the spoilers. There's a lot of places you can find certain images for the scans for build, but this is the best place I could find the scans. So thanks to Build Rider News for showing all the stuff I'll be talking about here. So Build Genius Form, it's coming out next month, and if you've seen me talk about Genius Form before, you know how I felt about it. I'm going to talk about it again here. When that first image of Genius Form leaked, I was like, yeah, this looks terrible. This isn't going to be the final form. And then they showed off the scans, or the scans from a while ago, actually. And they went, nope, it is the final form. Screw you. So here's Build Genius Form. Here's a lot of images of this. And I'm going to be honest, I don't hate it anymore. I'm just kind of like, really? That's what you went with? Because it doesn't look terrible. Like, the undersuit is silver, and I was before kind of like, really, you're gonna stick with all white when everything else was black? The undersuit's silver, which kind of adds a nice like shine to stuff. And the full bottles on it are actually like empty full bottles. I'm not sure if there's a good image here. You can really tell, like, here, they're empty full bottles. They're not normal full bottles. They're empty full bottles. And the different colors of like rabbit and tank. So like shades of blue, red, shades of blue and red, really. So Genius Form doesn't look terrible anymore to me. I still prefer the other forms better. I might release a video about why I don't like Genius Form. Like, there's some other things behind it that I don't really like. But like these images here, probably seen it in action, I'll like a lot more. But I don't hate Genius Form anymore. I think it's just like okay, but still, like, come on, that's what you went with, really. We also see an image on here of I'm blanking on his name. We see Mad Rogue. What's his name? Utsumi. There we go. We see Utsumi is, he's holding the Neville driver, and right below here you see Mad Rogue fighting Rogue. And in preview, we saw Black Hole form right behind Mad Rogue. So, it's at this point confirmed. Yeah, Mad Rogue is Utsumi. Utsumi is Mad Rogue. So that's, ooh. Anyway. So, yeah, Utsumi's Mad Rogue. You can't argue with that. So, that kind of, I'm just a little confused, though, because in the last month's scans, we saw Mad Rogue. I didn't talk about the scans, did I? But in last month's scans, we saw Mad Rogue. And he didn't debut in this month at all. He's debuting next month. And he doesn't even have a large part in these magazine scans. So it just kind of makes me wonder, like, did something happen behind the scenes? So here's Genius Form giving Evil a taste of his medicine. So here's Evil Black Hole. We already saw this debut. You can see this transformation of Evil. We see him beating up the Riders. I think that's going to happen in the next episode. We also see him fighting Genius. I assume Genius is going to play the same role of Muteki from X-Aid last year, where we got Kronos, who is like mega powerful. You know, he could pause the time, he could kill you all. His battle will stop at the time. If you know what that reference is, let me know down below. But then, I assume Genius Form is gonna be able to stop the, Evil-ness, the black wholeness of Evil. And while I'm looking at all these images of Genius, I'm actually, can someone please count all the full bottles on Genius? And if there's 60 full bottles on Genius, I will like Genius better. I will be honest. They went through the trouble of actually adding 60 full bottles on Genius. I'll like Genius. No, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about it. Here on the movie, or here on this side, we see the stuff for the movie, how our riders will look in the movie. We see how there's like different Foss bottles and like a black Pandora's panel. So that's a little interesting. We already saw this debut, Great Cross Z. I've already said how I felt about Great Cross Z. And we see Grease using two full bottles, or two twin breakers, not full bottles, fighting Mad Rogue. And I'm not sure if this is going to appear in the series, or I've heard somewhere else it's a Hyper Battle DVD. It might be a Hyper Battle DVD. I don't know for sure. But he is going to be using two twin breakers. And the reason I think it's a Hyper Battle DVD is because if you look down there, I'll leave links to this in the description if you want to check it out and better. But you can see he's using a Dragon Splash Jelly, and that was destroyed. So maybe, but he's fighting Mad Rogue. So I don't know, they're gonna fix the Dragon Splash Jelly, which means they might bring back Cross Z Charge. Please, 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 no, please. If we have to keep Cross Z, Great Cross Z, I'll stick with that. But don't give us Cross Z Charge. Don't do it. And no comment on Genchiku here. I don't know. And I think the rest of this is just like toy advertisements. Yeah. So those are the scans. Ooh, we're talking about you soon. So those are the scans for build for this coming month. So I'm looking forward to this. As I've already said, I'm warmed up to Genius. I think the Genius full bottle, actually, which I didn't comment on, the Genius full bottle actually looks kind of funny, just because it still has like the little thing popping out of the driver. I can't find a good picture, but I think you'll know, like, the top pops out when you plug it in, and it has these things sticking out the back. But if you actually pay close enough attention, it just looks like kind of a giant, like, fat full bottle, kind of like the Icon Driver G was a giant icon from Ghost. So that's kind of cool. So, as I said, Genius, I've warmed up to Genius. Mad Rogue actually looks kind of cool. I'm not sure how I feel about the color scheme, but Mad Rogue looks pretty cool. Mad Rogue kind of doesn't Genius takes a spotlight in this. Mad Rogue is just kind of, oh, okay, he's there. And Evolt Black Hole, I think Evolt Black Hole is going to get his butt kicked by Genius, who's going to play the role of, Muteki. But Muteki is still better. So this month of Lupin vs. Pato was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. There were a few rough spots, but let's jump into that with the first rough spot, of course, which is it's just a really silly episode 13. It's kind of a classic, oh no, our hands are stuck together, so we have to learn to work together. But it uses the two girls from the two opposing teams, and they actually conquered that trope a little bit. Basically, they go to an amusement park to get a stuffed animal in a competition, which honestly wasn't the stupidest part. But then a gangler just happens to be there and closes a dome over the whole amusement park, and it's like, oh, well, it sucks to be you, dude. You happen to keep two rangers in that amusement park, so yep, joke's on you, dude. So anyway, then the two girls are there, and they realize, we need to fight him. So obviously they don't know each other's. Well, Umika knows that Tsukasa's a Pato Ranger, but Tsukasa doesn't know Umika's a Lupin Ranger. But still, they split up and they henshin, they morph. They come and they fight the monster, and the monster basically chains their hands together. And then now they're like, oh great, we have to work together. But they don't do the normal trope where it's like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to work together, and we have to learn how to fight well together, and that stuff. They always do that in like Sentai and Power Rangers, and it's kind of annoying. But because they're both from different teams, they're kind of like standoffish towards each other, and we only see them like with their arms together in like that one fight scene, and they actually fought like pretty decently. Like, it wasn't like a bad like fail of a fight scene. I mean, like, from that perspective, like they did some damage to the monster. The monster retreated, and then they find him somewhere else in the amusement park, and when they fight him, I think it took like maybe like, I don't know, a couple minutes, and they broke the bond between their arms. So like, they really conquered that trope really good. And then, they fight the monster, and we just kind of establish this friendship of sorts between the girls of the two teams. That's really all that was accomplished kind of in this episode. Like, Umika and Tsukasa kind of have a little bit of a friendship going now, but other than that, there is nothing much. So then we move on to the debut of the Crane Trigger Machine, and this episode was really pretty good. So we start off with, it's a Power Ranger episode, so 2 sets of Power Ranger episodes, so that's great. So basically, in the first one, we see episode 14, we see the Power Rangers investigating this site because they realize that there's like monster groans or something. They don't really explain the monster groans ever, but there's like monster noises, and these kids want to go on a field trip there, but their teacher won't let them for safety reasons because there might be a gangler. So Keiichiro makes this promise to this kid: we'll let you go on the field trip, we'll get the monster back, we'll beat the monster. And the kid's kind of like, oh, I like the Lupin Rangers better. And it's like, ooh, respect your elders, kid. Like, that was cold. He's like, I like the Lupin Rangers better. Like, you see this kid wearing like Lupin Ranger outfits, and Keiichiro goes to talk to him, and I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. No, you don't. So then they go to this area, and we get this like monster with the boss Dogranyo, and he's like, oh, I have this one person on my team, and you have to come watch us. We're gonna kill a Power Ranger, or we're gonna kill a cop. Well, he doesn't specifically say that. He says we're gonna do something to impress you. One thing that'll always impress a gang leader. And the boss is like, so you're gonna kill a cop. And I mean, they were trying to kill a cop. So then the Power Rangers are like on their way to like investigate more or something, and this guy runs in the way. He's like, oh, you have to help me, there's a monster over there. And then he gives them, I think, trigger machine drill that doesn't have a trigger. Go figure. And then they fight the spiky monster. I don't know his name. I'm gonna call him Spiky. Why not? And then there's like voices around him, and they get all confused, letting the Spiky get away. And then the guy's like, oh, well, thank you, I don't know what happened there. And then when they investigate the trigger machine drill, and they realize there's like something under the mountain, or they realize this earlier, there's something under the mountain, and like it's really big, so they wonder if this is like the monster's hideout, something like that, so they can go under there with a drill. So Keiichiro gets the drill, he uses it as a Zord, and he starts drilling down to there. But while he's down there, he gets shot in the back by the Spiky's poison, or he gets shot in the back by spiky darts from the spiky monster, and it's revealed that they have poison, so he's poisoned, but he keeps drilling down, leaving Patren, Nigo, and Sango on the top by themselves. And then actually, before I was about to get into the fight scene, before this, we actually see the Lupin Rangers kind of investigating the spiky monster, and they start fighting the sheep monster. I don't really know these characters. They're just one-off monsters most of the time. I don't really try to learn their names. But it's revealed that the sheep monster, who's one half of the Crush brothers, I believe, basically, him and his brother found the Trigger Machine Crane and Trigger Machine Drill during the battle with Lovegood, I think, the big shark monster from a while ago. And during that Megazord fight, it turns out that Pato Kaiser smashed the one half of the team. He smashed like the big brother. So he smashes the black sheep and the trigger machine. So now, like, it kills him. It's a giant monster. Or giant robot. It's gonna kill it no matter if it's a monster or not. So now this sheep monster wants to seek revenge, and the spiky monster takes advantage of this. So he's like, hey, if you help me, we'll kill the Power Rangers just like you want to get revenge. So the sheep monster doesn't really care. He just wants to kill the Power Rangers. The spiky monster obviously wants to impress the boss and become the next boss like every other gangler. So then, I should be calling them ganglers, shouldn't I? Anyway, then on the way, when the spiky gangler and sheep gangler are going to attack the Power Rangers at their trap, then the Lupin Rangers run into them, and they're like, oh, we're here to steal your collection, all that. And they revealed the spiky monster, or no, not the spiky monster, the sheep monster. He either doesn't have a collection piece, but he also says, oh, I left mine at home. So it's either he left his at home or he doesn't have one. I'm going to assume he doesn't have one, just because, if he left it at home, using quotes here, then, they have to go find that. But the spiky monster obviously has one that lets him shrink down, which is how he put his dart trap, or spike trap, inside the trigger machine drill. So he basically uses this as bait. He's like, oh, they're attacking me. Like, they're attacking him. He doesn't really care, though. He already has his trap set for the Power Rangers, and I guess he knows the Lupin Rangers just want the Lupin collection piece. So he just pulls out his Lupin collection piece and throws it off to the side. The Lupin Rangers go for it, and by the time they come back, they realize, rest of the monsters are gone. But they don't really care. They're like, we got our collection piece, we don't care. And what's also really funny, this collection piece is very, very clearly a shuriken from Ninja. So I was just kind of expecting a Ninja to come out, put it in her blade. I don't know, that was just something funny. There's a lot of references to old Sentais with the Lupin collection. I think a couple weeks ago we had Time Ranger or O Ranger. We had a Morpher as the golden bracelet, so that's really funny. But anyway, now the monsters show up and they're about to fight the Powder Rangers. They're like, oh yeah, we poisoned Keiichiro, all that, and you know, they morph and they're about to fight. And you see in the background we have Dogranio, the boss, and his two generals, Goshe and the other dude. I don't remember his name, but they're on either side of him, and you know, they're looking very menacing. And the spiky monster says, oh, I'm gonna impress you, boss. And they're like, boss? That's your boss? We're screwed. And then they start fighting, and I believe, yeah, they beat the sheep monster. So it seems like, oh, okay, they're gonna win. They just beat Spiky. And then because Dogranio said, oh, don't waste my time, he kind of wasted his time when he lets one half of his team get killed. So then the boss says, like, all right, I'm done with this. So he like launches like, I think it's a saw blade, and it annihilates the Pattern Rangers. Like, they're on the floor, they're kind of bleeding, but they look beat up. So they're like, oh dang, like, you know, it's that classic early Sentai fight with a boss that reveals, boom, look how powerful he is. And it did show how powerful he is. It even showed how ruthless he could be. He didn't even care about the Spike Gangler, even though the Spike Gangler didn't get that damage. It kind of, he showed like, oh, this is what happens when you waste my time. And he says, we're done here, and he just leaves. And then Goshe's like, oh, why not? And she revives the sheep monster. So now the Powder Rangers are like, they're injured, they're on the floor. And they're like, great, how do we beat the giant monster? Boom! Crane comes out of the ground and starts smacking him. And you're like, oh, Keiichiro is cured from Crane. No, he's still poisoned, which is, I hate to say this, it's kind of cool that he's not, oh, magically cured from the trigger machine. No, he's just fighting through it because he's determined to help this kid. We also reveal in a flashback while he's drilling down that essentially the same thing he did with the kid, like a pinky promise, you know, all that. The same thing happened with another police officer when Keiichiro was younger. So I mean, that really showed kind of like, oh, why Keiichiro is doing this. He's kind of reminded of that moment, and he wants to be like the cop that helped him when he was younger. And it also shows why he wanted to be a police officer when he was younger. So that's really cool. So anyway, we do one thing that I don't like when this happens in Sentai shows, when the one mech, like, this is not a mech actually, it's just a Zord at Power Rangers terms. It's just one Zord that can kind of split into two, but not really. And somehow it beats the monster. How? Like, okay, I don't really like when they do that, because it's like you form the Megazords, the Kaisers, for this specific reason. But no, I guess we can just use the Zords and still beat him. But anyway, Crane beats him with the help of Drill, and then the episode ends with the Powder Rangers like injured and Keiichiro's being poisoned. So then the next episode we see they're all in the hospital and they're all really, like, you know, injured, and we get more stuff from Lupin Ranger, because the Lupin Rangers have a bigger presence in this episode. But basically they realize the cops are hurt and they go to see him. And the one reason I'm okay with the first episode in this month from the girls is because it kind of establishes again a relationship with Umika and Tsukasa, or at least a friendship. So then when Umika says to Kairi, oh, I guess I'll go visit Tsukasa just to get that information, but it kind of makes sense from Tsukasa's eyes because they went to the amusement park together and stuff. But then again, not really, because they didn't seem like friends afterwards. So anyway, they realize that there's the monster, and the monster starts attacking again with a new piece of the Lupin collection. So now the Lupin Rangers are like, oh great, we have to go after this guy again. We got a cool like Lupin Blue shot, where he's not shot, but he's like a cool scene where he's like running up to the monster and he has to dodge all the bullets, or the spiky bullets. And then this monster uses the Lupin collection piece as bait. When Kairi goes to grab it in his safe, then he put another one of his like spike trap things in there, so it shoots Kairi and poisons him, but he still gets the Lupin collection piece. So it's like, yeah, great job, you poisoned him, but he still got the piece. So great going there. So then the Powder Rangers show up, and they're actually showing the monster, like, oh yeah, look who's boss. They're actually beating him pretty good, and the Lupin Rangers are just kind of tending to Kairi, and they're just kind of watching, and they're impressed too. They're like, wow, they're injured and they're able to fight this monster off. And then Keiichiro shows up with Good Striker, and he reveals, I'm not backing down, because that's the way he is. I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down. I'm gonna beat this monster. And they fuse together into Patren-Yugo, and like the poison, I believe they say, like spreads to all of them, because now they're one body. Now they're all suffering the same injuries, the same poison. But as long as they beat the monster, they're all good. And they do beat the monster, so, well, at least they're not poisoned anymore. Keiichiro is like, he shows it. He's like, oh yeah, I feel so fresh. Because the only thing that happened to him is he only got poisoned. He didn't get injured at all, but the other two still got injured. And then they form Kaiser Strong with the crane, and they beat the monster. And it's also kind of cool to see that Gaucher's like, should I revive him? Because, he kind of failed you twice. And it's like, sure, I don't care. He's not going to do anything. So that was kind of cool. I like this boss. This boss just kind of just doesn't care. He's like, yeah, but he's still, we've shown how powerful he is. So he kind of doesn't care. He just kind of seems bored, but he can, it shows that he can beat the Lupin Rangers, or at least the Paddle Rangers, if he wants to. So then in the last episode of this, or no, actually, I forgot to mention that in the ending, they go back to the kid, and I think his name is Sota. He shows like, oh, now he's in Paddle Ranger uniform, and he's like, oh, great, you guys beat the monster. And he runs past Keiichiro and hugs Sakuya, because we had a scene earlier where Sakuya goes to the kid, not Keiichiro, because Keiichiro was poisoned. But okay, and I mean, like, I was kind of like, ooh, Keiichiro, tough luck. But then he says like, I think that's for the better. So it's kind of cool to see him just kind of let go of that and not try to be exactly like this cop that helped him when he was younger. So that was pretty cool. And then the last episode this month, it's kind of on its own again. But there's a cool scene in the beginning where they pull out the safe from Trigger Machine Crane, and they basically kind of start talking like, oh, it like converts energy into mass. They're like trying to explain the monster growing, kind of like how we Kamen Rider explained, you can't transform without, again, because you'll like get injured, something like that. They kind of start explaining the monster growth, but it kind of brings up the point, like, if this safe, or they also say the safes are their true forms, maybe. So I wonder if we'll do more with that in the future, or if maybe like Gaucher will break into their base and just grow the monster and destroy the whole like headquarters, or at least the whole facility. There's two things I forgot to mention that I think were mentioned in the last two episodes, where one, their headquarters are in France. Arsène Lupin is French, and the Lupin Rangers have French influence. So the Paddle Rangers, with their HQ being in France, possibly it's run by some sort of descendant of Lupin, and that's how they get all their trigger machines, because that's part of the Lupin collection. Maybe that person has those pieces of the Lupin collection, or he's modifying pieces of the Lupin collection, because then we see that when they form Kaiser Strong, or they're about to, when Keiichiro pulls out the Trigger Machine Crane, like, there's just a passing line from Good Striker I was like, what? Where he says, oh, interesting seeing a trigger on the crane, and I was like, what? So obviously somebody's modifying these if he's never seen a trigger on this machine before. Maybe it was a normal piece of the Lupin collection, and if you modify it with a trigger or a dial, it becomes a piece, it becomes a verse vehicle. Or maybe this was a dial fighter, the dial fighter crane, dial fighter drill, and then they remove the dial, put a trigger on it. Obviously somebody's like messing with the Lupin collection for Good Striker to not recognize a trigger on this. Or maybe it was a joking line, but I hope it's not a joking line, because that's honestly kind of huge to reveal someone's messing with these. So then, anyway, we come back to the last episode, which is just, it's a nice episode. I'd say it's like third out of these. I definitely like the other two better, and I like the first one the least, but I definitely liked this one. We get that body swap thing. Looked like it was going to be a body swap episode, which I'm okay. It looked like it was going to be a body swap episode because we swapped Umika and a Pigeon, and we swapped them back, and I was like, oh, okay, no body swaps this episode. And then the monster switches Toma and him. So basically the monster and Toma switch bodies, and that kind of leads to some funny moments where Toma, the monster as Toma, is like walking on the street with a bunch of girls, and the Power Rangers see this and they're like, I can't believe he said he was sick so he could go out and do this, and it leads to a funny moment at the end. But other than that, this episode was just okay, because we get Toma kind of like depressed in this monster form, and they're kind of like, okay, well, we might have to just destroy you and bring you back because of the, you know, the promise we had in pre-series, before the series. So then, but then they come up with the idea to beat, or Lupin Red will like essentially look like he's going to kill Toma, or Toma's, the monster in Toma's body. So he shoots, and at the last second he switches him back into his own body, and switches Toma back into his own body. So then he like collapses, and I was like, oh no, he killed him, but not really, because we kind of know there's an entire series that's still we have to go through. But then Lupin Red reveals he like shot his hand, and I went back and watched the scene because I was like, I don't know if he did it that fast. They don't actually show the actual firing of the gun. They just kind of like, you hear the firing and it cuts away. So that totally was plausible, the blocking with his hand. So I was okay with that. And then the ending of the episode is just great, where they beat up the monster, and they use like, the Lupin Red uses the Good Striker, so he splits himself into 3 people. Toma uses the Scissors Blade Dial Fighter to get the boomerang and the shield, and Umika kind of gets the short end of the stick, and she only gets the Cyclone Dial Fighter. But then we get this awesome finisher of the 3 Lupin Reds, Lupin Blue, and Lupin Yellow, or Lupin Blue Scissors Blade, and Lupin Yellow with Cyclone. And it's just this awesome finisher that destroys the monster. And then this is really funny for me, where the Power Rangers kind of fought the monster in the beginning of the episode, and other than that, they don't reappear except for that funny moment until the end, where they're just like across the city and they see the monster grow, and they're like, what? No, how did this happen? We had to fight the monster. And then Lupin-Kaiser just kind of shows up, and they're like, oh, the Lupin Rangers. Okay. It's kind of funny seeing someone else's reaction to a monster growing, not from like the normal Rangers we're focusing on. So that was kind of funny. And then they do the same kind of like finisher in the Megazord, and that we switch out Lupin Blue and Lupin Yellow for the Scissors Dial Fighter and Cyclone Dial Fighter. So we get Lupin-Kaiser Cyclone Knight, I believe, which is a pretty cool combination, even though the Cyclone Dial Fighter doesn't look the greatest. But then they beat the monster, and then we get, as I said earlier, that funny moment at the end where they say, like, the Power Rangers say, Toma, I can't believe you lied to your friends about sneaking off like that. So, and Lupin Rangers know really why he was sneaking off, using air quotes here. But it was still a funny moment. So then, next episode doesn't look to be another like plot focused episode. It looks like another silly episode that I'm not gonna talk about. But I am gonna talk about the new scans we have for next month. So if you don't want to hear about this, leave right now, because we're about to talk about spoilers. So this is again the best place I could find scans for Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger. And this really shows things are starting to get interesting. Once again, thanks to JF Fusion for this. So, we see that we're getting Lupin-X and Patren-X, the Silver and Gold Rangers of both teams. So, right off the bat, I'm going to say I really like these suits. These suits are really cool. I'm not sure which one I like better. I think I do like the Lupin Ranger suits better than both of these, like the normal Lupin Rangers. But I will say these suits look cool. I like the gold, I think, of Patren-X better, but I do like the look of Lupin-X. So, these all look pretty cool. I mean, we just kind of see, it's just a lot of glamour shots of them, you know, using the gun, the sword. I think they use the same sword, do they? Yeah. So, I'm not sure where it says here, but what I think is going to happen with these two is it's going to be a Good Striker situation, where Good Striker, both teams know about Good Striker. Good Striker doesn't work with either team or for either team. Good Striker is Good Striker. Good Striker is aligned with Good Striker. He just kind of, like as he says, he works with whoever he's feeling for that day. And I think the same thing is going to apply to Lupin-X and Patren-X, because they look so similar. They use the same changer. I hope they don't try to fool anyone, like, oh yeah, we're totally different people. I think it's going to be another situation where he's like, oh, well, today I feel Lupin Ranger, so he turns into a Lupin Ranger, Lupin-X. And then maybe the next day he's like, oh, well, now I feel Pat Ranger, so he turns into Patren-X or Patren-X. So, I mean, these suits do look cool. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these. And the one thing that interests me is that we don't see anything of the Megazord. There's nothing here about, I don't even know its name, but the Lupin-X and Patren-X Megazord, we don't see it anywhere. There's no, like, hint of it. And the hint for next month is, well, it's a Megazord. I think this is the, like, float scans that we got a long time ago, so that I didn't talk about with the big combination that's kind of a mess. This looks like that silhouette, so it makes me wonder, when are we getting their Megazords, right? Because I think that mech, I mean, unless this is it and I'm just mistaking the silhouette, but I don't see their Megazords, and they're obviously going to get Megazords because that's an opportunity to sell more toys for the show. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, where's the Megazord? So these skins are cool, and I'm looking forward to who's Patren-X, Lupin-X, and what's like what's going on with these two. Lastly, we're going to talk about Shattered Grid number 27. And once again, this is a great episode of the Shattered Grid universe, the MMPR Boom universe. It's really great. It's still killing it. Basically, what happens in this in this issue, we see that, you know, Dracon's attacking all the worlds like we saw in the annual. So then, because of this, the Rangers are like, okay, we have to go, you know, help people. So they get a transmission from Dr. K in RPM world that she's found a way to counteract the dragon cannons, I guess the black dragon cannons that severed a connection to the morphing grid. She said she's found out a way to reverse it, which is why we see, like, Dylan, who got demorphed and taken away his powers in the annual. That's why we see him morphed here, which is pretty cool. So then she basically says, I found out a way, but every Ranger's connected to the grid in a different way, so you'll kind of have to come here and help me to help with that. But because they're in Corinth, which is, you know, anti-Vengeance, they're really, like, miles, they have to teleport miles out, so that kind of, you know, creates some minor conflict, not really. And then we get this really cool shot of where they're transmitting to all the different teams across, I guess, the multiverse, the Shatterverse, the Shattered Grid. There we go. Across the Shattered Grid, where, like, it's Zordon's head in the middle, and it's, like, kind of shattering across the sides, and we see all the different dimensions getting attacked. And I paid a little close attention because I was like, does this tie in with the annual? And yeah, it does. We see, like, in space getting the in space team getting beaten, but we don't see TJ because he was launched in space, or at the very least he's, like, in hiding. And if you look at Ninja Steel, we see Draken attacking the Ninja Steel, like, base, which fits in because, you know, he attacked at first. Now he's like, oh, okay, I know where their base is, and he goes attacks there. So that fits in. And we also get a scene where Draken is, like, in his chair, and he's looking at the Zeo Red Crystal, and Finster 5 is like, oh, how was your time with the Zeo Rangers? And it's like a little asterisk, and it says C annual or Shattered Grid Annual 1 or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, this confirms it's canon. And then he says, oh, it was fine, they just, like, worship this Tommy. And Finster 5's like, oh, we have all the powers that we've stolen. I think they took SPD, Zeo, and they have the Ninja Star, the Ninja Power Star, but I don't know if they're gonna use that at all. But at the very least, I know they have the Zeo Crystal. So he's like, yes, begin the power transfer or something. I'll get some extra forces to battle. So then the Rangers split up into a bunch of groups. So Tree, Billy, and Zach go to Draken's world, where they're gonna help the Coinless to recapture Ninjor of their world. They say, like, oh, Ninjor, or Draken has your Ninjor, and they're like, what's a Ninjor? And they're like, oh, yeah, they haven't met him yet. So that was kind of funny. So they're basically gonna go recapture Ninjor, because Ninjor is kind of what's behind Draken's power-ups, the extra troops. It's from, obviously, the power transfers from Ninjor. So they're gonna go get Ninjor to stop kind of this, you know, powering up of Draken, even though he could probably still power up, or no, he probably couldn't, but he'd still be powerful. And then Jason and Lauren go to Corinth, or the RPM world, to go to Dr. K to find out how they can reverse the effects of the black dragon cannons. And Jen and Kimberly will basically traverse the Shattered Grid and find whoever they can to help them, or help them, I don't know. They'll find whoever they can that can help, and I guess bring them back to base. So I'm hoping we're gonna get this like hodgepodge team of Rangers, like I don't know, Rangers of any color from any different series in one team. That would be really cool, like kind of a Tommy Force. But then basically the issue ends with Jason and Lauren arriving at Corinth, and they're like, oh, Dr. K, we need your help, come on, get back to our dimension. And then Dylan's like, guys, I don't think RPM Operator Series Black is like, I don't think we can do that. And he points in the distance, and we see Draken powered up with at least Zeo powers, and he looks really, really cool in this form. But not only that, but you see surrounding him are Psycho Rangers, A-Squad Rangers, and Korak. So Draken has assembled a team of evil Rangers, and I think this is the first evil Ranger team up in Power Rangers history, and that's awesome. That's how the issue ends. That's such a cliffhanger. I'm so excited to see just just the hodgepodge team of villains versus the hodgepodge team of Rangers. That would be amazing. Come on, Boom. Come on, Boom. Do that, please. But at the very least, we have Evil Ranger team up, and that's awesome. So another great issue of Shattered Grid. So all in all, I really enjoyed this month. I really enjoyed most of these episodes. I enjoyed pretty much everything. So if we had to rank everything though, at the number 2 spot, I'm tying Power Rangers Shattered Grid and Lupin Ranger versus Powder Ranger. I really enjoyed both of these, pretty much the same level. I can't really give one a higher spot than the other because I really thoroughly enjoyed both of these. They're just such a blast. And at number 1 spot is Build. This was definitely a busier month for Build, but it totally succeeded. It was really cool. You felt like there was such high stakes, such great backstory we get. This is really great month for Build. I thought it was an A+. So that's my ranking for this month, and that's about it for this episode of Talking Jujube. But don't leave. There are some announcements I have, not really relating to the channel. Just one thing is basically I'm looking to change things up a bit with what I talk about here. Talking Jujube, I mean, I'll keep talking Jujube the same. But there's a lot of new shows coming out on Netflix, I believe in like 15 days. I don't know when this is going up, but in like at least 2 weeks. Voltron is coming back on Netflix, and I love Voltron, and I want to talk about Voltron. So let me know if you'd like to see me talk about Voltron. And Troll Hunters, I don't know if you know what that is, but Troll Hunters is really cool. Season 3 came out like I think a couple weeks ago, and I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. Let me know if you want to see me talk about that or anything else like Marvel related. I really want to talk about Marvel. So let me know if you're interested in me talking about like new stuff, newer stuff, different stuff. And relating to normal stuff, I talk about the X-Men movies, Heisei Generations, and the Another Ending trilogy has been out for a while, but I haven't gotten around to watching that. So now I have a lot of time that I can do. I have a lot of time on my hands now. So I'm going to watch through those movies. I'm going to review Heisei Generations on its own, and I'm going to review the Another Ending trilogy altogether. I'm not going to review the Paradox, the Hyper Battle DVD. If you want me to review it, let me know. But I don't think I'm going to review it. I am going to watch it, but I don't think I'll go over that. So there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in the coming weeks. Let me know if you want to see more stuff in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that big fat subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.